Okay, have you ever thought about a real-life shapeshifter? Something that can actually change its very identity to survive? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But get this, it's happening all around us every single day on a microscopic level. Today, we're diving into the world of a true master of disguise, a virus that literally rewrites its own rules to stay in the game.
So, when I say shapeshifter, what do you picture? Is it some animal changing its colors to blend in? Or is it something deeper, something way more fundamental, happening at the genetic level?
While the answer is hiding in the invisible world of viruses. Turns out the ultimate biological shapeshifter isn't some mythical beast. Nope, it's a very specific type of virus, one with an incredible and sometimes pretty dangerous ability to adapt on the fly.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain on this incredible organism. To really understand its power, we first have to know what it's called, and that name is the retrovirus.
So, what's the big deal with retroviruses? What makes them so special? Well, it's all right there in the definition. See, unlike most living things that have a pretty stable genetic code, a retrovirus is defined by its instability. It has this unique built-in ability to edit and change its own genetic makeup. That, right there, is its superpower.
Okay, so how in the world does a tiny virus pull off such a complex trick? It's a really fascinating process, and to get it, we've got to break down how these mutations actually happen.
It really boils down to this cool three-step process. First, the virus basically acts like its own little genetic engineer, just changing its own blueprint. And this isn't random. It's a strategic move that kicks off something called genetic drift. And that drift, that's the key. That's what allows the virus to perfectly adapt to its new home, the host.
So what exactly is genetic drift? You can think of it as a domino effect from that first mutation. When the genes change, the virus particles themselves start to change. It's kind of like a car factory deciding not just to offer a new paint color, but to completely retool the assembly line to build a whole new model, one that's better for a totally different kind of terrain. The virus is literally rebuilding itself as it goes.
And this really gets to the why. Why does it go through all this trouble? Well, as one source puts it so well, the retrovirus can change according to the medium of the host. It's like it can sense the biological neighborhood it's in, and then it just re-engineers itself to fit in perfectly. Talk about the ultimate survivalist.
And the result of all this constant adaptation is just variety. Because it can change to fit into so many different hosts or environments, we don't just see one kind of retrovirus. We see it show up in a ton of different forms, and each one is basically tailor-made for survival. A true master of disguise.
Now, all of this might seem like a really fascinating, but, kind of distant science lesson. But the truth is, we run into these adaptive viruses in the real world all the time, and their impact is absolutely profound. So, where do they actually show up?
So, what do these shapeshifters look like in practice? Well, retroviruses are a kind of RNA virus, which just means their genetic material is made of RNA, not DNA. And when they show up in animals, well, the names might be a lot more familiar than you think. And honestly, the answer is pretty sobering.
This amazing ability to adapt is at the very heart of some of the most challenging viruses and diseases we face. We see this exact mechanism in lentiviruses, a group that includes HIV. It's found in hepatitis C, which attacks the liver. It's even connected to certain kinds of cancers like adult T-cell leukemia and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This constant shape-shifting is precisely why it's so hard to develop vaccines and treatments for these diseases. It's like we're trying to hit a moving target.
Which leaves us with a really critical question. We've seen how a retrovirus can completely change its identity just to survive. So, in a world where our microscopic adversaries are constantly evolving, what does that mean for us? How do we keep up?